So I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about marketing. And I wanted to talk about marketing of a product. Excuse me. Now, I'm not an expert on marketing, so it's not like there's going to be tips and tricks on how to market. But I really want to kind of talk about for a moment how not to market. And I feel like there's no better project to talk about than High Guardian Spice, which is Crunchyroll's new show with their animation studio that they are just starting. And there are apparently mixed feelings about this. As you can see, they disabled the comments for the video, and then they disabled the ability to like and dislike. Maybe you can, but there's no count, which means they probably did. So I laugh at that a little bit because if a company does that, then that means you're not doing something right when it comes to the marketing. And then I found out about this by watching a number of videos about it. And I say there's mixed feelings because there does seem to be mixed feelings. When I first saw, hints of the trailer, it was sort of like, oh, I kind of like that idea. I like the look. I like, the backgrounds. I thought it was very cute. And you could tell that it was anime inspired. Then, then I got to the real issue. And that kind of sparked this video. So here's the thing when you watch the ad, and as you can see, the ad is only a minute 30. They spend most of the video patting themselves on the back for their concept of diversity. And they make sure that they tell you that the cast is diverse, which it's sort of like, okay, what does that mean? And why do we care? Because it's a fantasy. Like when you're talking about a fantasy style piece of work, and especially in anime and things like that, because you're bringing in magical creatures, you're automatically going to get that kind of level of diversity. But I know they're talking about diversity of skin color on this, which still doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure I've ranted quite a bit about it, but see, they're talking about their diversity. Then they're talking about how half of the production staff is women, but the writing room is 100% women. And they're proud of this. And they bring out Kate Left just so they can tell you that this is a pretty much woman-led project. Well, now we have a bit of a problem. And that bit of a problem is not necessarily that there are women involved. The problem now is that you're pushing it, which means you're making it politically driven, which means you're making a stand and you're saying that the talent of people doesn't matter now. What matters is their surface level trait. Well, when you're trying to sell a show, that's kind of a problem. Because guess what? When people are watching a show, they're not thinking about who is in the writing room. They're not thinking about who is, drawing the animation. They're not thinking about the people involved in the elements. they're not even technically thinking about the actors and actresses. They're looking at the characters and they're looking to be entertained by the show. So when you turn around and you start talking about the production staff, but all that we get about the show is that it's about four girls going to a magical school to become guardians. But you never explain what being a guardian is. You never explain what type of adventures. You're just telling us, well, you've never seen adventures like this before. And, and you're talking about how what you're going to do is so spectacular, but you're not really showing us anything that's selling it to us that is saying this is going to be a spectacular piece of work, that this is going to be something that is going to be so special that people who are paying the price for Crunchyroll, which, full disclosure, I've on and off paid for Crunchyroll because I don't always like ads. And I liked the idea of being able to get access to some of my favorite shows very quickly. So I do understand people who are kind of upset with that because they felt like, well, wait a minute, we were paying for you to get product faster from Japan. We weren't paying for you to start your own animation studio. So I do understand people who are a little upset from that standpoint, but for the most part, it's sort of like people seem more like they just want to enjoy something good, which has been entertainment for the longest time. This trend is worrying. And, I look at the girl who is the creator of it, and I'll just say she looks, like awkward and, like she looks, of course, she looks kind of masculine, but that's beside the point. But when you see her a little bit later, like you could see the joy that she has in this coming to life because you can tell that she's someone who, she developed this, she created this, this is something that she really enjoys seeing coming to life. And and instead of getting that kind of enjoyment, and I feel that you're having joy, we keep getting agenda, agenda, agenda. And, for the people who are involved with this, with the desire to see this, with the enjoyment of wanting something good, they kind of get the raw end of the deal by people like this, people like Kate Leff, who is not doing this for the enjoyment of the media, who, is doing this specifically for politics and agenda. And that's not to say that the creator doesn't feel the same way. I'm sure the majority of them, if not all of them, certainly I'm assuming all of them in the writing room probably have the same level of progressive politics, but that's neither here nor there unless you're going to have it invade the show. But yes, when I was talking about marketing and how not to market, right, here's the picture of their writing room or with their writers. Here's my thing when it comes to a marketing standpoint. This is a show that's coming out in 2019, and they're advertising it now because they're trying to generate interest in it. It's sort of like with Thundercats Roar. You want people to be interested in it, but you spend more time not telling us the story. You spend more time talking about the politics behind it, which is not something that people are necessarily interested in when they're doing. A great way to do this, and a great way to do something like this, is explain what a guardian is, because what's a guardian? Well, that's what we want to know. Is it like being a witch? Is it like being a mage? Is it like, you know, I don't know. What is it? What is it like? What do you mean they're training to be a guardian? What do guardians do? We don't ever get that answer. We don't ever get any idea about what is interesting about this world. We get some great backgrounds, but in something that is a minute and 30, when most of what you talk about, you know, is not the actual story, that's a bit of a problem. Now, I'm kind of hoping, well, at this point, I don't think that it really would matter if they turned around and did the story later, because, your first contact is putting your best foot forward. And they did not put their best foot forward, because instead of taking the opportunity to say, yeah, we're excited about this new show, we're excited about this new studio, they instead said politics. And that's kind of sad. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. It's sort of like, it's one of those things that it kind of gives me a little bit of mixed feelings, because I kind of like the drawing. I kind of like the background. I like the idea of the fantasy element of it. So, it's something that I probably wouldn't mind watching at least the first episode of, or maybe the first season or something of. But now, knowing some of the people who are involved, and specifically knowing Kate Leff, who's involved in this, it has really sort of lowered my enjoyment of watching it. It's sort of like has made it to where I am not going to be on my guard, because it's sort of like, is this going to be something that they're doing specifically for politics? Because now you've gone out of your way to tell me that you have 50% female working on this, but 100% female working in the writing room. And we've said nothing about people's actual talent or qualifications for it. That's bad marketing. That's just bad marketing. And I don't know, I don't even know if I could take a wait and see approach with this, because I did the wait and see approach with Superman, and I keep getting disappointed. I keep getting disappointed, even though I was expecting to be disappointed. But I'm coming to the point where I'm starting to hate Superman, and I sorely blame Brian Michael Bendis for my coming to despise a Superman, that I've loved all my life. And I don't, it's sort of like I'm reaching the point, and I'm sure that there are many where we're just reaching this point where it is becoming aggravating, because you want these companies to understand that your subscriber base, your customers, the people who are really into this stuff are not enjoying what you're giving us because of the politics that you're trying to force upon us, because you are not leaving your personal views and your personal politics or anything like that at home. And, and I keep reiterating, because they don't listen. So they simply think that, well, you're just trying to bring right-wing politics into it. And the answer is no. We're trying to make good stories. What we desire are good stories. It's a different thing if a character is a political character, but none of these characters are political characters. In regular life, most people don't talk about their politics. So we don't want to hear about other people's politics. We certainly don't want to engage in entertainment media where politics are rammed down our throats. This is why things have become so miserable lately, because we've been force fed this diet of progressive politics, and because they never stop, their force feeding us never stops. And the only way you end up combating it is by totally disengaging from your hobby. And nobody really wants to do that because life is stressful enough. And I guess this could be part of another video, but because I was just sort of thinking about this whole aspect of it. Once I did a video like this before, I don't know. But people need that bit of escape because we know that life is stressful enough. And so comic books, cartoons, anime, manga, sports, tabletop games, video games, all of reading, all the things that people do to sort of like allow their minds to decompress, it's all currently being attacked, and it's being attacked strategically. And that's kind of sad, and it's kind of a sad world that we live in. But I do believe that misery demands company, and a lot of these people are so miserable that they could never see a world where anybody gets to be happy because they themselves are not happy. And that is a problem, because how do you combat it? How do you combat it? Because we have to accept at this point that no matter what we say or do, we're constantly going to be called names, because that is in their playbook. So that is what they will always do immediately. And until we figure that out, certainly like with Comicsgate, with the projects and things like that coming out, there's hope in that. But, how sustainable is that going to be when it's so expensive? Like how do we find ways of doing this alternative media or alternative entertainment that people enjoy with their hobbies, that take out all of that politics, that take out all of that, progressivism, that just, has like just basic good storytelling fun? How do you do that and make it cheap? Like, this is a time where we need capitalism and the free market to actually work for us, because the more that people engage in those kind of things, the more popular they can become, the faster they can grow, the cheaper you can then, make it, because it's becoming, broader. And I don't know, that's it's marketing. And these are things and elements that I do believe that creatives need to start learning how to utilize and start understanding, because what I think Crunchyroll is forgetting is that they're selling a product. They're selling an idea, but they're selling their idea to a market that doesn't exist for, maybe they think that it exists for them because they keep being told by these people that it exists for them. I don't know. I mean, with this, I don't know because I don't know who Crunchyroll's real subscriber base is. I know it's a lot of regular people because, I'm a pretty regular person and a lot of the people I've heard from have been regular people. So I know it's regular people and regular people are probably a high number. So it's really sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of like the wait and see game of let's see how sustainable this stuff is going to be, because I do believe that when things like comics, like the comics market is shrinking, when a lot of these mediums are starting to shrink because people are starting to walk away or they're starting not to purchase those products, it hurts everybody. And I kind of have this saying, and and I really kind of hope that in these entertainment mediums that it doesn't prove to be true. But I kind of say that the whole, like, progressives will let the whole world burn down as long as they didn't have to admit that they were wrong. And I firmly do believe that that's their attitude, that no matter what, it's never their fault. It's just because nobody else gave them enough power and enough control. And I certainly see this in their attitude about government, that no matter how much these politicians, these progressive politicians, destroy our economy, destroy our privacy, destroy our rights and freedoms and things like that, somehow the answer is give them more control, even though we know that we can't trust them. I really hope that these things don't happen in hobbies. I know they're working so hard to try to make it happen. And I don't know how it can be fixed and how they could be taken out of it. But it's something that needs to be considered because it's something that is proving to be a bit of a problem. And I don't know. I'm going to go before I get too deep into this video, as I know that I have the habit to, and then I'll just keep talking, and I don't necessarily want to do that. So I'll see you in the next video. Of course, like, subscribe, all of that. Um, and yeah, I will talk later. Bye.